Welcome to Bonn Park. I'm Sara Geidlinger.
And I'm Marshall Ward.
And today we have Ariana deVries
of Mamas for Mamas.
Mamas for Mamas KW is a charitable organization that provides a hand up to mamas in the KW area.
And we're going to talk about the really important work their team do.
Sometimes when you become a parent, you think you're going to be granted this magical access to a community of other moms, other dads, other parents, and it's just going to happen organically. And that's not always the case.
No, and this conversation certainly resonated with us.
Here she is, Ariana deVries.
Welcome to Bonn Park.
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 Can you do us a favor?
Can you please leave us a 5-star review, like or subscribe to our show, and share with your friends? We'd also love it if you followed us on social media.
We are a homegrown community project, and every bit helps. On with the show. This is it.
Bonn Park is supported by Indigo Tutoring and Consulting. The award-winning team at Indigo Tutoring and Consulting loves helping kids. While Indigo specializes in support for students with learning disabilities and autism, they support students in all subjects and grades, including college and university courses. The goal is always the same: to provide the kind of academic and emotional support that will help students achieve their full potential. Indigo works with you to find an ideal tutor for support at home, at their center, or a location that suits your needs. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to learning. Sometimes a little one-on-one time with a supportive educator makes all the difference to a growing mind. Find out more at indigo-tutoring.com. We are supported by Balancing Birth to Baby. Childbirth is a profound journey, and every new parent can sometimes feel lost along the way. Thankfully, there are wise guides to help. Balancing Birth to Baby provides classes, coaching, support, resources, education, and care to families on their journeys. Diamond winner in the 2021 Reader's Choice Awards, Balancing Birth to Baby was created to help you prepare for birth, postpartum, and parenthood, and provide doula services available in the Tri-Cities area. If you're a parent-to-be, you can prepare for the big day and all that comes after it in one of their classes. Their experienced doula teams can guide you through your childbirth journey with knowledge and care. Find them at balancingbirthbaby.com. All right, Ariana deVries, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad to be here.
We had to do a Zoom recording, which we're excited to at least be able to have this format, which is kind of good because it's a snowy day today, I think. But we really wanted to pick your brain about the organization that you're involved with called Mamas for Mamas. This is something that I think that I saw Bird's Papaya post about being involved. And it was maybe that she was
one of
either
our ambassadors.
Okay, so that was it. It wasn't maybe that she was using the service, but that she was providing a service with you of some kind. So I'm not really entirely sure. I've read through the website. I've watched what's happening online. It's a charitable organization, and you're providing resources for basically any mama out there who needs something. But instead of me fumbling through it and explaining it, why don't you tell us about what the organization does?
Yeah, sure. So we were started in 2017, actually in BC. That's where it originated. Shannon Christensen started that. And then over the years, we've branched out to have over 60 different branches now with 250 plus volunteers. So it's actually gotten pretty big across Canada, which is really fantastic. So Jessica Minicola started it in KW in 2019. And what we do is we help to provide a hand up to moms and families in the community instead of just a handout. So providing sustainable support so that they can then go and be able to support their families without it being an ongoing thing that we need to continue providing for them. We help other organizations too to help stock some of their shelves as well for when people come to them, because we really want to be able to work together as a community to help families and moms specifically, because we are moms helping moms, and that's really what it is. The organization is made up of moms that are working to support others, because we know how tricky and hard mom life can be, especially for when kids are little. So that's really what our heart is to provide sustainable support so that no mom and no kid is really left behind. So yeah, that's what our heart is with Mamas for Mamas.
First of all, it would take a lot of courage for a mama to approach you. So how do you, I imagine what happens a lot is you find ways to reach them.
Yes. Well, we actually have a Facebook group where we try to connect people with first. And so it's a community of moms who are working to provide and receive. So we really just work together to create that community of moms together. And online is helpful because you can just post a comment or you can post a ISO for what you need. And then
In
other
search
moms
of. Marshall's not much of a Facebook user, so I want you to know I learned recently that means in search of.
Okay.
ISO, somebody to write a column.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So if someone's in search of something, they'll post it there. Or if they are in desperate need and we see it come up on our Facebook group, then we direct them to our applications online. And sometimes people are in really dire straits. And so then we work closely with them with our resource coordinators to help them find what they need. And we also have social workers that help with people in tough transition spots or who are leaving abusive situations and things like that. So we try to leave those anonymous because sometimes people post to the Facebook group asking for help in that sense too.
Wow.
So we provide a lot for moms, but really it's moms working together to help the other moms. So we only really do help the trickier situations oftentimes because the group is so good at helping each other. So it's really great. Fantastic. Yeah.
And isn't that sort of the goal of a Facebook group is to have it self-sustaining? That even for a business, when they're doing a Facebook group of their users or their customers or their communities, that group is self-sustaining and that they support each other and point each other in the right direction is always the goal, but it's not always easily, executed. Like sometimes you don't have maybe the right people in there. Sometimes, people aren't following the guidelines or the rules. And then that has to be monitored. So that's a whole job on top of that. But it sounds like it is a self-sustaining, helpful tool for this community.
Yeah, it is really great. And it's a space where moms from all walks of life can be a part of it. So it doesn't have to be moms that are only low income or that are struggling in that sense. It's all moms from all over KW and the surrounding areas working together. So that's really fantastic. And we also have moderators who actually do help facilitate the group to make sure that kindness is our currency. And that's what we always say, to make sure that people are remembering to be kind to each other in their exchanges and in how they communicate. Because things can get tense when finances are rough and you don't have what you need to provide for your family. So we do have people who are watching out and helping to keep an eye on things to make sure everyone's being nice to each other, which is great.
Again, and those moderators, is that a volunteer position that somebody would be in?
Everybody with our branch is volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
thing. Yeah. Most of the people a part of Mamas for Mamas are volunteer. There's only a couple of people with our head office who are paid and they help to run all 60 of the branches, which is amazing. But yeah, it's primarily volunteer based and we love it.
So I just had a thought. So Mamas for Mamas, it is what the name says. Marshall here was a stay-at-home dad for 8+ years.
Oh, cool.
And was the papa in his house. So where's the resource for someone like Marshall? Can he join Mamas for Mamas?
We do have some dads join, but we also have like a dad's group with Mamas for Mamas as well.
Because we were both stay-at-home parents and work-at-home parents, and that's how we met at the park near our house. So it was something that we often talk about. But I guess that Facebook group specifically is geared more towards like women supporting women or women identifying supporting women with issues that might be specific to what they're going through.
Yeah. And that was primarily why it was started, was the struggles of being a mom, especially postpartum and all of that. And how does your goals and dreams for the future line up with also being a mom and staying home with kids? And I mean, that's something that I've been working through a lot, and why I was drawn to Mamas too a lot at first was I want to have other things to do outside of just being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that moms need care because I needed care when I had my kids. So how can I provide that for others, especially single moms? And that's where my heart went out hugely to others, is moms who don't have the support system that I do. How can I help them and provide the support or the hand up that they need? And I'm the volunteer coordinator with our branch. And so I help to support the other volunteers in our team. And that's what I love, is helping to support others so that they can then do what they love.
Mamas for Mamas produced a short little film. Maybe it's 3 minutes on your website there. And it's a very melancholy piece, but it beautifully, without any dialogue, it illustrates and shows how a single mom can find herself in a small, dark, little place living with a child. And it shows her the baby has woken up and is crying and needs a diaper change. And she's on her last diaper, right?
Yeah.
And then she heads to the fridge and the baby formula is almost gone now. And it's hard to imagine how, even people in the best of living situations can kind of go into this place where your home and your living situation, raising a kid by yourself, can be a very melancholy and difficult time. I can't imagine what that's like for moms who, on top of it, have to worry about buying baby formula and diapers, right? Which is something Sara and I never had to do with our own families.
Yep. I know. That's something that I think about all the time now. And it's a different world that I'm a part of, with being part of Mamas for Mamas, that I wasn't exposed to before. Because to be frank, I am white and I am privileged. And I have life experiences that have set me up for success that most others don't. And so to see, and I have people in my life, and that's what really inspired me to look into what Mamas for Mamas does, is because I have those moms in my very family who go to the fridge and they don't see what they need and don't have what they need for their kids. And I wanted to find a way to be able to help them. And so, this is the way to do that for me right now, and for those of us who volunteer with mamas. And the biggest thing is that we do diapers, wipes, and formula. So that is the thing that moms don't have to worry about, is the food. Everyone should have food and should be able to provide for their family in that way. So then that's where we really try to connect the dots and fill the gaps, is getting people the food that they need so that they can continue doing life well. Yeah.
Doing life well. I like that. Let's talk more about those connecting the dots and filling those gaps, where I really liked how you said a hand up and not a hand out. I think this is a very important point where we think about meeting people where they're at. So what are some of those other things that Mamas for Mamas are doing?
Yeah. So we do have a team of donations coordinators, and we have a team of resource coordinators. So what the donations coordinators do is they take donations from Sharing Squirrel, which is one of our primary donation sources in Cambridge, and then they bring those to our Mama's location. We don't have a physical location yet, so we have to use our support system in the community. We work with the pregnancy center closely as well.
Awesome.
But
it's not a great time to have a bricks and mortar location for a business. This works better right now, right?
I know right now it works well enough, but we would love to have a brick and mortar location eventually, because it gives the moms a place that they can go to and they know it's always going to be there. So that's a bit tricky, is knowing that the location's always changing for where they can pick up their resources. But yeah, our resource team and our donations team works really hard to gather what moms need, clothing, toys for kids, all the extraneous things that come with having kids. And the resource team, actually, they work with other organizations within the community, like the Food Bank and House of Friendship, those types of things. Fresh Box Market, they provide produce. They match 1-to-1 for every produce box that is purchased for Mamas. And then that makes it so we have a supply of fresh food that we can offer moms when they are struggling with that. And it's great too, because then it's fresh and it's not just what they would maybe get from a hamper at the food bank or somewhere like that. So those are some of the things that we have in place to help with moms. We also have what we call the Karma Market, and that's where we have a spot designated, either someone's house, driveway, or sometimes we use the pregnancy center or things like that. And that's where the moms come and they can pick up what they need. Everything is free, but it's based on donations that people have provided us and helps them get a bit of a jump start, especially at the end of the month when things are tight.
That's fantastic. So then, as I mentioned before, I would have seen Mamas for Mamas on Birds Papaya. So you said Birds, like Sarah Nicole Landry, I guess I could call her by her real name, is an ambassador for your organization. And what does that mean?
Yeah, so that means she helps to promote a lot of what we do. And because she has a large voice in the community and she has a far reach with influence on social media, especially, then a lot of her connections and things like that, she would help to provide awareness for what Mamas does. And she also provides us with resources and donations as well. But really, it's using her platform to provide awareness for what Mamas does and connecting with head office and working with the different branches, because we have several ambassadors. Actually, Jillian Harris is one of our ambassadors as well. Yeah, but she works primarily in BC, obviously, because that's where she lives. But that's really great to have those people who are helping us to do the things that we need to do and filling in the gaps for us too as an organization where we maybe need support as well.
I used to say to Sarah that I wore my stay-at-home dad years like a badge of honor. I was very proud of it. But I certainly had a lot of the feelings that stay-at-home parents have in terms of like I felt guilt, especially with my second daughter, feeling like I didn't have the energy. I remember hearing it in my own voice when I would read stories and stuff that the energy wasn't there anymore. I was getting tired. And to me, the idea of adding another layer of that, which I guess would be shame. I never felt shame. I was always, again, very proud and felt like what I was doing was important. And I didn't know any other stay-at-home dads. I guess what I'm saying is if you have moms out there who are struggling and they're feeling both guilt and shame, which is totally understandable, what steps are taken to help them reclaim that happiness? It must be a deep hole to kind of for them to climb out of, because you're trying to meet their material needs, but also their psychological needs. And I heard you speak of kindness. What are some of those steps that happen?
That's a great question.
Yeah. No, that's really great. That one is really tricky, especially right now, because we can't see each other in person like we would love to be able to do. So a lot of what we do is phone calls with moms who are really struggling and just being listening ear for them. That's a big portion of what the resource coordinators do, is they are just available for the moms when they need them and providing that support in that sense via either email or a phone call or whatever. We try to keep things private and anonymous most of the time so that the moms are free to talk about what they need to if they are struggling. But again, with the Facebook group as well, that's also a space where we hope that moms can provide support for each other in that sense and connect with each other and say, hey, I want to get to know you more and maybe let's hang out or things like that. So in that group, we also really hope moms connect with each other, and so that we help facilitate, but then they can take it this step further once they've met each other in that sense. But really just our words right now are what we have most of the time. And that's what we're using to love on the moms who need more than just material provisions. And so, that's what we are trying to do right now, is support with calls and emails and being there for them in those hard moments that they are struggling. Yeah.
I imagine something you talk about as a parent is you probably talk about sleep, right? And the importance of sleep. And you're able to say, hey, I hear you, and talk about those years.
Yes.
Because I'm sure they're still very vivid for you. You know what I mean? The toll that poor sleep takes.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, my youngest is 3. My oldest is 9. So there's a bit of an age gap there. So it's a bit shocking to go all the way back to baby life again after you've had a kid grow up a bit. But the big thing that I think about when I'm helping these moms is the ones who are doing it alone and who are doing it by themselves and who feel the isolation of that, and remembering that the smallest things can go so far, and the smallest acts of kindness or the gentlest words can really take them to the next day. And sometimes that's what they need in specific moments, is just, hey, I see you. I know how difficult that this is. I've been there. I've done that. I maybe don't have the fullness of experience that you do, but I am a mom, so I do get it in some sense. And it's going to be okay. And we're here for you if you need us. But
imagine these people make a deep connection with you. I think about how this episode actually kind of brings my friendship with Sara full circle, in the sense that
it does.
We were there for each other, along with some other moms in a park, all those years ago.
And one of the things that we often talk about is like the reason why me and Marshall glommed onto each other in that park was because we were both willing to talk about something that wasn't parenting or lack of sleep or bottles or diapers or feeding or whatever that might be, or teething. We were talking about art and culture and just soaking up what the other person had to say so desperately.
You could almost say it was like an energy bar. Your energy would be depleted and it would go up. And there's things that can tear you down. I remember I was at a mall one time and I was walking by one of those kiosks that they want to put, this was before pandemic, they want to put cream on your,
obviously,
right? And there's a mom going by with like two kids, and she had that look of a tired mom, and we all know what that looks like, because if you felt it, you know what that looks like, right?
Yep.
And I remember the person with no self-awareness, I guess, said, "Hey, come over here. I can help you with those bags under your eyes," right? Kind of thing.
Oh no!
Help me with these bags.
Right. And I remember thinking, nice, right? Like she's just everybody else.
Yeah.
And this person, for the trying to make a buck, is pointing out that she looks tired. And anyways, so lots of messages and lots of things that kind of can tear a mom down, right? And
on top of it being shamed for how your appearance is.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing, though. The idea of a phone call, when you can just sit there and chat. That must be. I don't even know if you realize how important that must be. While you're.
Well, I love that term that you use, love on the moms, right? Like, there must have been quite an increase in need for calls and connecting during these last 2 years, because the isolation. Totally. I mean, we're so lucky, we're very privileged. I live in my house with my family. They might have gotten sick of me, but I loved being stuck in here. And I was very, very much living in a bubble that was very safe and protected. And the only isolation was from, not seeing my friends and extended family. But for someone who doesn't have that to lean on, for somebody with a brand new baby who's not going to be talking about, Tiger King as an entertainment outlet, that's got to be heavy.
Yeah, totally. And we did see a huge spike in requests for support in the last 2 years since COVID started, for sure. And that's actually when I came on, was during COVID. It was, wow, I see a huge need here, and how can I help?
And then we often talk, sorry to speak over you. We often talk about serving your community is blissfully selfish also, because you're getting a connection from it and you're giving back. Right. So it's beneficial for both people participating.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's a sense of fulfillment. And that's something that I, as a mom, really was thirsty for, really, is I desired to have something beyond kids. Even as much as I love my kids, I am more of a person and more to me than just mom. And I know that is what other people want too, is to be known for more than just raising little people. And so having this has been really wonderful, actually, to love on other moms and to support other moms in this way, and to let them know that I believe in you. Then that's really fantastic too.
Being more than just a mom, air quotes, or just a dad. Both Marshall and I dropped our careers to do this.
There's a loss of identity.
Loss of identity. That's a great way of putting it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. And that's something that I've been on a journey of discovering over the last 9 years since my daughter was born, of who am I beyond being a mom? I love being a mom, but you don't know what you're getting into when you first get into it. Mm-mm. And you don't know who you are fully. Like, I got married when I was very young, and I had my daughter within the first year of getting married. So it all happened very quickly. And I thought that that's what I wanted. And I was excited about that. And as I got to know myself more, and as I started to discover more of what I loved, and what I wanted for our family, I realized I was not my mom and I was not my husband's mom. And I wanted something different.
Yeah. Who am I? What parent am I? What is this relationship with my kids? It's a hard place to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And even how am I going to be a mom for my kid? Because I'm different from my kid and I'm going to want things different than what she wants or what he wants. And so it's been quite a journey. I've come so many different directions since I first became a mom, and I have fallen into lots of different passions since then of things that I am wanting to do and things that I love, and discovering more of who I am. And it's been really exciting and really fun. But there are those hard days where it is just mom. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too. And realizing, no, this is beautiful in its own sense, in as much as it is hard. And sometimes I need the reminder that it's not the end. And there is so much more, and that I am helping to bring up kids who are wonderful contributions to society and who can then pursue their dreams and passions as well. But I'm going to show them how to do that also by doing it myself. So
let's talk about those passion projects then. Mm-hmm. I know how our Bonn Park podcast is incredibly important to my self-esteem and self-importance at this time of my life. Would have been an amazing thing to have when I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old,
Yes.
If I'd had the energy for it, I don't know. Right. The brain energy.
It might have been humorous if we had talked.
Yeah. So let's talk about that and how you found the time and energy in your life for these things. And let's talk about your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Finding the time and energy is very difficult, to say the least. I started a podcast actually when my son was a baby. I started originally with my husband, and then I said, you know what? I think it's better if I take over. So I took over. It's called Active Listening. And really our heart for the podcast is to listen to people and their stories, similar to what you guys do actually, is to understand people beyond just what they do, but to learn more of what makes them tick, and especially for uncomfortable topics and things that people don't understand. And we were sensing that a lot in different relationships and things, is with so much going on in the world, our views were expanding, and we wanted other people to experience that too. And so taking the stories of others, in as much as they are hard stories sometimes and difficult topics, they are things that need to be shared. And we wanted to create a safe space for people to be able to share that. So that's where Active Listening started. And COVID and having kids has made it difficult to produce as many episodes as we were hoping to, but starting to get back in the groove for that. So that's really exciting. And we're in our second season of that right now, which is called Bad Vibes. And it's all about uncomfortable conversations on things that are not easy and that we would rather not talk about. But that's what builds relationship, is talking about those types of things. So
I love that title. I don't get like angry when I see good vibes only, but I'm also just like, that's a lot to ask of a person. That's like, check who you are at the door. We're not accepting your reality today.
Right.
And
exactly.
I'm a positive person. I think I try to put my best foot forward, but not every day is the best. So I love this idea of bad vibes. The one episode that I listened to yesterday was about noise pollution with Matthew Mickelson, I think it was. And what was the inspiration behind talking about noise pollution?
I had actually listened to another podcast on the topic of noise pollution and the loss of silence in our world. And my husband's actually an insane researcher, and he just reads the internet all the time. So he's always coming up with some abstract concept or idea of something he's learning or discovering. And he talked about noise pollution to me a while ago. And I was like, it's true. It's one of the types of pollution in our world that we don't acknowledge, but we have it affecting our physical beings without us realizing. And it's causing us anxiety and stress in ways that we may not be acknowledging. And so that's where I then listened to the podcast with him and I said, you know what? I would like to have a deeper conversation about this because this is something that people are not aware of and how it's affecting our world and each other. To get out and experience some semblance of quiet and connecting with the outdoors and with the earth and with a stillness that we don't get as very much these days. Yeah.
I remember when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was listening to a CBC program and there was, I'm going to butcher this stat, but it was something like the addition of a radio in a stay-at-home parent's day could like shave years off your life. So it's like the kids are making noise, your house is making noise, you're making noise, you're cooking, and then you've got radio or TV on, and that extra thing is like taking days off of like time off of your existence. And I remember thinking, well, no wonder I feel so like harried and stressed out all the time. And Marshall, you talk about like the sonic assault of a loud exhaust or like engine in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
I often use the expression. I remember how my nerves felt so frayed, just every part of me just, couldn't wait till you had a big glass of red wine kind of thing. Just shoulders could relax,
Yeah.
And just, it's very wearing on you. Right. So you're raising a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old?
Yes.
Yeah. Sarah and I often talked about how in Sarah's case, her 2 daughters have a few years between them, a couple years, and mine have
2 years, 4 months.
4 years. And we've talked about how the younger one grows up in the older one's world, right? In my case, like I remember Sullivan, our youngest daughter, watching movies that were more suited for the older one kind of thing, right?
You kind of look over like go over her head.
Is that okay?
But 3 and 9 is really interesting. Tell us about that. And those years in between. And you probably feel at times a little bit like you're a different mom to the 3-year-old than you were to the 9-year-old. Or
100%. Yes, for sure. I was very much a different version of myself with my daughter than with my son. And we actually had several years of struggle in between the two of them of trying to get pregnant. And so that was a whole experience and journey of its own for 6 years trying to have another one. And that's why there is an age gap between the two. So that was really hard. And so learning more about what I wanted as a family and what I wanted for myself and what I wanted our family to look like in those times of realizing this could be our family, just the three of us. And so there was a lot of introspection during that time and realizing that that's when I actually started to realize that I wanted to be more than just a mom, and knowing how much better of a mom I actually was when I had the space to be able to do things outside of what my daughter just needed with playing or care. So when she went to school, then it was like, oh, okay, now I have brain space to be able to think about other things a little bit more. And so the struggle with trying to have another one was more or less all consuming for the majority of the 6 years, until the point where I was like, you know what, this can't be my everything. So I need to move on and find other things and love my family for what it is now, because this is the family that I have and I'm going to love them how they are. And it turned out we were able to conceive my son naturally without any intervention, which we had gone through all of the methods and everything to try. And he's our little miracle baby now. So that's fun. But again, it was like, you have all these hopes and dreams of what you thought you wanted life to look like. Life changes and you change your hopes and dreams, and then it changes again. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a roller coaster. And having my son now, he is so different from his sister and he is wonderful. But again, it's busy and it means that some things have to go on pause for a bit. And I have to be okay with that.
These moms who you've met now through Mamas for Mamas, I've often thought that single moms raising children they're almost heroic, but I imagine to them it just feels like they're treading water, just one day at a time. What have you learned from some of these moms in your conversations with them? I imagine some of them although the conversations can be difficult, are inspiring, and you're learning things from them.
Oh, 100%. They are more resilient than I could ever imagine. So these moms, and you said heroic. they very much are, but they very much don't feel it. And they don't want to be called that. They just want to be cared for. And that is something that I've come to realize is, instead of just saying, wow, you're doing so much, I'm proud of you, it's, how can I help? What do you actually need me to do for you right now?
And what do you need in this moment? Yeah,
exactly. Especially for the people who are very close to me, and being, okay, how can I support you? Do you need me to bring you coffee? Just something to perk up your day.
Mm-hmm.
What can I send you? How do you need me to drive to the other side of town? Like, what do you need? And that's something that goes really far for these moms who are in these really dark times and these really hard moments, doing it alone, especially with kids with extra needs. Those are the hardest. And some of the people very close to me have kids with special needs, and they are doing it by themselves. And my heart goes out to them every day. And just seeing how much they have to go through with all the extra work that it is to be single, to be low income, and to have a special needs child. It's unbelievable. And that is not something that I have ever experienced. And so seeing what they go through and just offering the smallest things that I can, because some of them aren't in my immediate area. And so all I have is words or something that I can mail them.
Yeah.
And even that acknowledgement that it is hard goes a long way, instead of just saying, you're so great for doing this, because most of them didn't choose it.
Yeah.
And being there for them when they just need to talk.
I want to talk about the logistics of Mamas for Mamas. So you're talking about how you physically sometimes are going to hop in your car and go and help out, but you're also a volunteer coordinator. So, mama needs something. Are you reaching out into a pool of people who told you, I'm available 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or, 6 to 10, or whatever that might look like. And you're saying, like, who has the capacity to go and help this mom? Who can go and deliver something? Or is it more, they reach out to a certain volunteer? How does that work?
With our application process, that gets sent to our general email, and then we have someone watching the email who then sends it to the appropriate person. And usually that's a resource coordinator who then will help the mom with what they need and directing them to the different resources in the community, or connecting them with then a donations coordinator who will help provide actual items for them. And we can provide food hampers or assemble a care package for them. And then the moms can often pick it up, or sometimes the resource coordinators or donations coordinators will deliver it to the moms if they are not able to get to a specific location. And so in that sense, they're I don't actually do too much of the actual mom connection unless it's a specific project that we're working on. And then I handle a lot of the logistics with, okay, we need volunteers for these days at these times to do these things. And based on whether we need donations or whether we need someone to coordinate resources, then I would find someone in that team with the team leader and say, I need this. Please find someone from your team to help support in that way, which is, our team is getting bigger now. So we are able to do that, which is really great, which we weren't for a while. So now it's nice to be able to separate, divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm. And you're actively looking for volunteers, not just donations all the time, right?
That's right. We are always ready and willing to have more volunteers. Even just general volunteers are fantastic to do some of the busy work, or the running around, or the delivering, or especially for specific times of year when things are even more intense and there's a lot more to do than a general volunteer for a one-off or a couple of events. That's also great. The more the merrier, because we like to say teamwork is what makes the dream work here. Mm-hmm. So that's how we have to do it, especially with volunteers. We're all working together to make this happen. And the more we have, the more we can do.
Hello, I just wanted to say a few words about Mamas for Mamas and how much I've received help through them, and how much I appreciate this group. Not only have I received menstrual items, I also, was able to trade to get something for my son's birthday, or just necessities. I just think this is an amazing supportive group, And I am so appreciative there's such a group as this. Thank you so much.
Bonn Park is made possible with the support of the Kitchener Public Library and the Kitchener-Waterloo Community Foundation.
Our show is produced by Sarah Geidlinger,
And Marshall Ward.
with audio engineering by Sarah Geidlinger.
Bonn Park's original music is by Alan Lung.